next Aspiring Leaders webinar. We are lucky tonight to have two outstanding school leaders with us. We have Ann Schaefer Salinas with us from the San Francisco Bay area of Camp California from Notre Dame High School. And we have Mark French with us from Gatewood Elementary in Minnesota. So if you two, first of all, thank you so much for joining us tonight, being with us and sharing your time and your wisdom with us. And I'm going to let you jump right in and share your information on school culture and building school culture for all the aspiring leaders out there. But please introduce yourself and tell us your role in administration and how you got started. Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Ann.
Okay. So I'm Ann Schaefer Salinas, as Jody said. This is my 6th year in administration, but I've been in education for over 20 years. I am currently the Associate Head of School for Academics at Notre Dame High School in Belmont, and that's where I've spent the majority of my academic career. I like to consider this my career 2.5 because I actually started out in the corporate world and then transitioned to some church work and then into education. And so now that I'm in administration, I feel it's a little bit of a marrying of my love of education and my first career in the business world. So that's a very short and sweet intro to who I am. Mark.
Great. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Mark French, principal at Gatewood Elementary as part of the Hopkins schools in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. And I am in my 37th year as an educator, 22 as a principal. And the great thing about being part of a webinar and being connected with others and Twitter and Voxer and podcasts is I am learning more now and feel more connected at this point in my educational career than I did earlier. And that's what motivates me and keeps me going and gives me ideas that I'll hope to share and answer your questions. It's really odd. I'm 2 years away from retirement, and people know that. I share that. And I think I am verbalizing that because I want to be ready and be prepared and have a plan. I love what I do, and I know I'm going to go out loving what I do. But yeah, I'm at the sunset of my career, but just as energized and motivated now than when I began.
Oh, awesome.
So let's talk about school culture. Ann, I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
Building school culture is the theme that we're sharing. And anyone jot a question and we'll answer those along the way. But Ann, what do you think about when the topic of building school culture comes up?
Sure. So when I was going over my notes for tonight, because there are a number of points that I definitely want to make sure we cover. I think that we each build culture differently in our own communities because every school community is going to be different. But something that really struck me as a great starting point was mentioned by Onika last week when she mentioned in the webinar about Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. And I think that anything that we need to do at our schools to help move the culture in a certain way has to start with explaining the why to the faculty, to the staff, in order to get the buy-in. And so that's something that has always been really important for me. You can't just make a dictate and say we're going to do this without explaining how or why we need to do that. Because if they understand the why, they're much more likely to buy in. One of the other things that I think is really important, I don't know, Mark, I'm sure, gosh, you've been doing this for so much longer than me, but I find it really important that when there's something that I want to implement within our school community, I can't just make that decree and expect it to be done. In addition to explaining the why, I also feel that it's really important for us as the leaders to lead by example. And one really quick way that I have done that, for example here, is that when I first stepped into my office, we were still kind of in the 19th century with a lot of things that we were doing, not even up to the 20th century. And so we made an immediate change once I got into my office of adopting Google school-wide. And it took probably a good year and a half to get everybody moved over to Google. But as soon as I was able to get the entire administrative team using Google seamlessly, it was much easier for the faculty and the staff to move into that arena as well, because they saw us doing it and modeling it every single day. Everything from sharing meeting minutes on a collaborative Google Doc, to using calendar appointments in Calendar, to helping the counselors learn how to use Google Hangout for our kids that couldn't attend school, because we don't have elevators here. We're a really old building built in the early 1900s, and so we've been grandfathered in with not having to be totally ADA compliant. So a kiddo with a broken leg can't get up and down flights of stairs, so she would come to the main floor and stay in the counseling center and use Google Hangout to attend her classrooms that were upstairs or downstairs from the main floor. So just using those basics, but leading by example first, I think has been really important in helping to shift the culture to incorporating whatever it is that you want. And I realize Google is so pervasive now, but like I said, just one simple example of how we did that, the lead by example piece.
You are spot on. I think of it as modeling and leading by example. I think of my staff as my classroom, my students, because I expect them to think about their students as the people that they influence. And if students are seeing their teacher be consistent and having fun and developing relationships and showing gratitude, then they're going to like school more and they're going to feel more motivated. It's the same way as for me. I know that staff members are watching me. They are reading what I write. They're seeing if I'm consistent about what I am asking them to do. I need to be willing to do it first. So leading by example, one of the things I think about for building culture is being visible. I'm outside every morning and every afternoon at arrival and dismissal. I'm in the cafeteria. I'm on the playground. I'm in the hallway. I'm in classrooms because I'm asking staff members to do that. I should be willing to do that as well. Do you see that modeling and being present?
Right. I think that the modeling of being present is so important. And one of the things that I love to do, which also I feel goes to building the culture, is if I'm out around the campus and I'm in the classrooms and I'm talking with the teachers, talking with the students, when there are things going really well in classrooms, I can then help build on that, because then at the next faculty meeting, I'm going to publicly acknowledge the positive, whether it's a use of technology or a new lesson plan, or when we've had, for example, a couple years ago, a big push was introducing everybody to the idea of design thinking and how to integrate that into the classroom. So then when people were doing it, I was publicly acknowledging them at the faculty meetings, and then everybody else realizes, oh, I guess this is important because Anne is saying something about it. Maybe I need to try as well. So that sort of subtle opportunity to, again, shift the culture a little bit, but you can't do that if you're not out there seeing what's happening.
Right. It's the same thing. We expect a teacher to notice what students are doing, to notice those little things. I wrote down positive relationships as something I wanted to mention, and positive recognition. I have learned, and sometimes it's tough lessons, that positive recognition, email messages, a note, a personal word, that's what helped to create and develop a culture and climate that people want to be part of. I have gathered feedback many years, public versus private, and I've learned that most people like that private connection, that private relationship, me asking about them, noticing things about them. I still do the public displays. I cook meals for staff members on conference nights. I'll bring in donuts. We just celebrated half of our year. I brought on donuts that we cut in half. So people appreciate the public displays and the recognition that all can participate in, but I have learned how key it is to develop those one-on-one relationships and those one-on-one opportunities to get to know people and to thank and appreciate them.
Exactly. Yeah, the one-on-ones, I absolutely have to agree with you on that, Mark. I know that it goes a long way, right? You have a faculty member that's going through a hard time, and you make a point to go to that classroom that's out in the hinterlands of the campus just to check in and say hello. And by the way, how's your mom doing? Or how's your daughter doing? Or, whatever it might be. And the good things too, right? Welcome back, and so great. When are we going to get to see the new baby? Or how was your trip? Whatever it might be. Those little one-on-one touch points are so important because, like you said, we want them to do that for the kids. And if we're not treating them in a way that feels good and helps them to feel appreciated, they're not going to do that for the students.
Right.
It all trickles down.
Right.
Start with us.
And another note I wrote is just the word fun. I mean, you have to infuse fun into the ways that you are thanking people and showing gratitude and being present and being visible. And sometimes that is wearing your school mascot costume. Sometimes that's being slimed. Sometimes that's sitting on the floor and reading to kindergartners. And again, this is a thing that I've had to learn and move out of my comfort zone sometimes. That's not my natural inclination. I'm more private and more reserved, but when you're the building leader, people are looking for you to do it. At assemblies, at parent nights, yep, they are looking for you to have joy and to have fun and to enjoy what you're doing, and share your talents. That can be part of the fun. I love to cook, so I share my talents that way. Other principals are more musically inclined or artistically inclined or a better dancer. So find things that you like to do and infuse that into your leadership with staff and with students. What do you do? What do you do for fun and in your school? What do you do to show your passion?
Listen to you, I was laughing to myself because we're high school, so not as likely to get slimed by kids as a token of fun. There are a couple of things though that definitely go a long way. One is if the students ask us as administrators to participate in the rallies, they always love to get the adult participation, right? And so if we as a leader are willing to get into the rally, then the other teachers are also going to be much more willing to get into whatever it is the students want. I've been known to sing at rallies before. That's something I do on the side. We also have this big spirit event in the spring, and it involves all the dancing and swimming and cheer competitions. And I've been one of the dancers, one of the swimmers, though I'm not very good at it. I stay in the shallow end. So you got to get out there. But the other thing too that I think partly because we're a private school, we don't have quite the same, limitations placed on us. So something else that goes a long way for the fun part is more of the adult fun. So maybe it's Friday afternoon, the students are released early, and there's a little wine and cheese gathering for the adults. Things like that are certainly going to go a long way as well. Just, we know everybody's been working hard, so let's just gather and have a little fun.
You are right, and I'm impressed. You're singing, you're dancing, you're swimming. You're right. You don't have to be good at it. In fact, when I create videos where I try to sing or bust a move, they come out well. If it's too polished or too perfect, nah, people aren't going to respond in the same way. They want to see us being silly, having fun, trying to sing and dance or play an instrument or ride a tricycle down the hallway.
That's right.
And in that fun can be small things by being visible. I bring music outside to start the day off at morning arrival. I'll participate in gaga ball games or tetherball games on the playground. So things that are already happening. All you have to do is just insert yourself. Sit down at the cafeteria tables, talk with students, join in on the band. Thankfully, I get a small part with a triangle or the cowbell. I'm really good at the cowbell, but you can be part of performances and activities. Just be visible and have fun and show your staff and students and families that you like it.
Right, because they need to know that you're human. You know, it can't be that we're way up here and everybody else is down here. We're all at the same level, right? And that does help to create that enjoyable culture. Otherwise, why do we bother coming to school?
Mm-hmm.
Because really schools should be joyful.
Right. And one thing I was just thinking about is, all right, so you need to build this culture. You need to be visible. You need to develop these relationships. You need to have fun. How do you fit that in with all of the other things that you have to do? How do you make it work, Anne?
So I actually block out time on my calendar and I let our assistant know. So I actually put into my calendar walkabout. And that means I'm not in my office. I am somewhere in the building. You really need me, text me. But I'm out in the building, and I try to focus on the emails at the start, like after the first bell and the kids are first settling into their classrooms. I try to do emails then, and then I wait until the day's over to do emails, and then I spend as much time as I can if I'm not being pulled into meetings, because good grief, we've got a lot of meetings. I try to spend as much time as I can out and about and popping into classrooms. And as a former history teacher, I'll go into the history classrooms because I can disrupt those lectures pretty easily and still keep them on topic, or jump into a science classroom, and especially the chemistry room, like if it's AP Chem, I know nothing about that, but I'll go in and try to learn what are you guys working on today? If I do this and this, will I explode the building? Just kind of have a little bit of fun with them and stay out. But it's scheduling on the calendar that helps me to make sure I can get a lot of that in.
Right. I support that. I put reading to classrooms on my calendar. I'll put playground cafeteria on my calendar, because the best intentions don't always come to fruition. So you have to be intentional in blocking that time, and that time's just as important as you schedule an observation or you schedule a meeting. So schedule time to be out and about, because that visibility, even checking in with kids as you do, going in to classrooms, sitting down, having conversations, those informal times help with that building climate and culture.
Right. Absolutely. Something else too that I've really worked hard at, and I don't know how you handle this, Mark, because I don't know how much oversight you get for the immediate hiring on your campus, but something that we've done over the last several years is really changed our overall interview process to try to hire for culture from the get-go. So we've changed some of our interview questions. For example, we expect them as part of the interview process, that pre-interview process, we want them to submit to us an example of a digital integration in a lesson plan. We ask them questions about, how are they connected? As a connected educator, we just come right out and ask them that. Social media platform do you use? How do you use it? What have you learned from it? We ask them questions about what's the best professional learning you've done in the last 12 months and why has it been good? So we're setting the expectation right from the get-go with the interview process. We also, again, because we're a private school, we incorporate questions around our mission statement and our philosophy statement and our vision statement, just to make sure that they understand what it's like to come into a private school, again, right from the get-go. So we try to hire for some of that baseline culture with our interview process. So I don't know how much you guys are able to do that at your school or in your district.
No, I have great influence on the hiring process for people who are joining my building. And I think earlier in my career, there was a lot of emphasis on what do they know and what's the content and do they know their stuff. Now, when I'm in an interview, most of the time I'm thinking about, can I see that person up in front of this group of fifth graders? Can I see them at our school assembly having a part and a role taking it on? So I believe that the curriculum and the content, I think those things can be taught, developed, mentored, but having that internal passion and drive and enthusiasm, that's what I'm looking for. And I see a question. Jody was wondering about maybe engaging parents in climate and culture, or could it ever be with a book study? I'd love it if we were that far. My goal now is just to have events that parents are interested and motivated to attend. And I think we've learned one part of engaging families. If their students, their kids are part of it, then they'll be there. If it's a performance, if they're having to explain something, show your family something that you did or created, the families will attend. Do you do things to bring in families and create that culture with them included?
Yes, we definitely have. We have a back to school dinner for all of our families, and it tends to be a really big, fun party event. We're very fortunate to have on-site dining manager, and so they cater the event. It's a barbecue. We use our outside space, and just really make it you're here to get to know each other, especially for our incoming families. Get to know some of the other families, because these are your best friends for the next 4 years. And we start with that. We're all in this together. Here are some names and numbers that you're going to want to have. And so we start there, and then we do other little events during the course of the school year. Some are more focused. So for example, our juniors and seniors, the parents are invited in for college evenings, which is pretty standard with high school, but our college counseling team makes sure that they're not just making it informational, but they are making it fun and helping the families to feel more at ease, because, you know, I think more and more throughout the entire country, there's a lot of stress around college admissions. Certainly here in the Silicon Valley area, it's off the charts crazy. And so we really try to help dial everybody down a little bit and help them understand we're all in this together. We're going to get through this together. Our head of school, every month we do a parent coffee, and she invites parents in, and those of us from the administrative team that are able to attend, we attend, and it's really an open forum. What are your questions? What are your concerns? Positive, negative comments, just give it to us. Our wellness coordinator does a monthly, every other month, she hosts a morning breakfast for our parents on some topic that relates to social emotional learning, health and wellness for the students, so that we've got that component as well. So we're building out the parent ed piece. Again, encouraging parents, please come be on campus, because this is your school too.
Right.
You don't have a school if you're not here sending your kids to us. So
Right.
please,
Well, I think you were right. We have to think of our parents as being ambassadors and ambassadors for our climate. If they know and they participate and they feel it, yeah, they'll talk to their neighbors, they'll talk to friends at church, they'll talk at the ball field. One thing I've done in the past, and I need to bring it back, I called VIP days. I've just opened up our school and had family members come in to see a regular school day. They always don't have that experience. They hear their kids come home, but I tell the staff, don't do anything special. I just want them to walk in, experience, go to a different place. But yeah, we have to open up our doors and welcome parents in and find ways, whether it's through regular tours or VIP days or programs or coming in and volunteering.
Yeah, there's a middle school principal, I'll say down the road, he's next county over, but you know, on the freeways in California, down the road is a little ways down, that he does, I think quarterly, he invites the parents to come have lunch with their students.
Mhm.
which, and it's, it started off, a little bit, and now it's really grown into this great program. And every quarter, parents or grandparents will show up and they bring these great lunches for their kids. And the kids are so excited to see mom or dad or whoever it might be coming, and they have a slightly extended lunch period. And it's really a neat way to just get the adults on campus in a very non-threatening way, and see their kids and meet their friends and experience a little bit of the school, and once they feel welcome on the campus, then they're going to be much more likely to engage in some of the other activities.
Right. Well, I think our time is at the end, and I would just encourage listeners and participants to think about being visible. Lead by example. Be that role model. Have fun. Connect with others. Think about ways to infuse energetic spirit. Step out of your comfort zone. Put on that school mascot. Sing at an assembly, but you set the tone. Anne?
I couldn't say it any better, Mark. That pretty much wraps it up. I think that just remembering that we're the leaders and we have to lead in every aspect of our school, and culture has to be the number one.
I want to thank both of you for being our guest host tonight, sharing great information about school culture. It is definitely gave all of us something to think about. And I want to encourage everybody to keep dreaming big until we see you on our next webinar. Thank you, everyone.